and we could not have a better guide on this topic of faith and politics and discerning your vote than Bishop Robert McElroy of the Diocese of San Diego. Bishop McElroy is a preeminent theologian, a political scientist, and a committed proponent of Catholic social teaching as a constitutive element of our faith. He has spoken and written extensively on Catholic social teaching and moral theology. In his priestly ministry, he served as Vicar General in the Archdiocese of San Francisco. He was pastor of St. Gregory Parish up the road in San Mateo and was auxiliary bishop of the Archdiocese of San Francisco before becoming bishop in San Diego in 2015. He's currently the vice president of the California Catholic Conference and serves on the National Conference of Catholic Bishops, on the Administrative Committee, the Ecumenical Committee, the Committee on Domestic Justice, and the Committee on International Affairs. And he is well credentialed to serve in those roles, having degrees in American history, a bachelor's in American history from Harvard, and an MA in American history from Stanford, but of course, and then a doctorate in political science from Stanford. But I know Bob will agree his most cherished degrees are from the two Jesuit institutions. He has a licentiate of sacred theology from the Jesuit School of Theology, our school up in Berkeley, and a doctorate in moral theology from the Jesuits Gregorian University in Rome. Bishop McElroy is a native son of the Bay Area, but he's also a very good friend of Santa Clara University. Of course, he's an alumnus of JST, and last year I awarded him an honorary degree from the Jesuit School of Theology. But his ties actually go way back when he was pastor of St. Gregory's up in San Mateo, when he would come to the Markkula Center and to campus to a theological ethics reading group at the Ethics Center. Bob also, Bishop McElroy also served on the board of directors of our Jesuit School of Theology. So Bishop, we are so happy for your friendship over these years. We are so happy, we are so grateful for your deep thinking on the practical applications of theology and the common good. And we are so edified by the example of your humble ministry as bishop. So please join me in welcoming Bishop McElroy to our university.
Thank you so much, Father O'Brien. And welcome, Bishop McElroy. It's great to see you again. Great to have you with us again in this conversation. And I thought I'd start by picking up a little of Father O'Brien's biographical information, where he noted you have a PhD in moral theology, a PhD in political science. You're the bishop of the 8th largest city in the United States in terms of population. And you have recently called the election we're looking at the most consequential in this country in the last 50 years. Could you say what you've meant by that, please?
Sure. First of all, thank you, Father O'Brien, for that warm welcome. It's always good to be back and with Santa Clara. Yes, I do think this is a uniquely important election in modern times. And I'd say a couple of dimensions point to that. One is that if we look back over the candidates in recent years, say over the past 30 years or so, when people looked at those candidates, they would have strong preferences one or another. But in this campaign, people look on the choice, on the one they're choosing against, as cataclysmic. That if that person is elected, it's a cataclysm for our country. So that's a difference. The second thing is, we've never had an election in my lifetime, and really haven't since the Civil War, in which the notion that there might not be a peaceful transition of power after the election has any currency whatsoever. We've never had an election in my lifetime where that's even posed as a possible reality, where the great challenge and threat to our country may well not lie in leading up to the election, but in what flows from the election. And that our country is divided horribly along the lines of race and class and culture and ethnicity, and in ways that are going to be very difficult to heal, and in ways that are affecting not just who wins here, but how the election is perceived in terms of its legitimacy. So for all of those reasons, this is an election unlike any other in my lifetime, and in destructive ways.
If we could pick up on that too, that notion of the automatically homeless sense of the Catholic voter, and also think of the major teaching document on election from the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops, issued during every presidential election year, is called Faithful Citizenship. So in that document, the bishops are clear in saying, we're not telling Catholics for whom or for what to vote. So Bishop McElroy, how does a Catholic, in that sense of homelessness, with the freedom to make up their own mind, what's a way by which they can navigate this turbulent time we're in to kind of use their conscience to vote in a responsible way, informed by their Catholic faith?
Well, I'd say starting out with the first words of the title of that document, which are forming consciences, okay? Elections and voting, especially for candidates, are questions of conscience. They come and lie within the realm of right of the voter to pray about, to think about, to weigh all the different issues, and then come to a conclusion as which candidates you think can best advance the common good because of their stances, because of their character, because of their competence, because of their leadership qualities. So you're picking particular candidates based on that. But it is the formation of consciences which the church is about, not the proclamation of criteria for voting that are truncated editions of the common good, and that are meant to be, are presented as mandates for the Catholic voter, okay? And I would distinguish between those two things. So what the church seeks to do is conscious formation, but it's in the conscience of the individual. Now, a practical way I think of in terms of voting in this, and I sometimes think of myself in this regard, after all the looking at the issues, and Faithful Citizenship presents a very full-bodied survey of Catholic social teaching, and of all the issues that need to be taken into account, all the major issues that form the common good now. But I like to think of it this way, and sometimes people ask me, how should I vote? I often say to people, well, you know, when you sit down to fill out your ballot, or when you're in the voting place, think to yourself that Jesus is right beside you. And just ask yourself, who do I think Jesus would guide me toward? And that helps filter out self-interest. It helps filter out tribalism. You know, we've become so visceral about our politics. It's like we have teams, and that we want to stomp on the other team and all this. But that notion, if Jesus were by our side, what would he be guiding us toward? That, I think, summarizes what the goal of for the faithful Catholic is, in their conscience, speaking with God, speaking with Jesus, trying to come to a conclusion, which candidate is best for our society at this and for the world. So,
thank you so much. Father O'Brien.